Herb Stevenson. This is our next episode of Natural Passages, Revealing Unmarked Doors of Life. Today, I'd like to talk about grounding. Some people, if you're like me, when I first began to understand what grounding meant was, what the hell does that mean? And when I was asked that question, it was like, well, you're not grounded. And I was like, my feet's on the ground. I can't get any more grounded than that. Um, And then over the years, I began to understand what they were saying, which is another way of saying it. If you're not grounded, it basically means you're not fully present to yourself. And in fact, the best way to kind of describe this is you're more likely a head dragging a body behind it. You have very little body awareness. And even worse, you're in a probably compulsive repetition of your mind, worrying about everything. What have I forgot to do, or what did I not do as well as I could have? And I just want to talk about it a little bit because in today's environment right now, everything is beyond chaotic. It doesn't matter what organization you're in, or it doesn't matter if you're in profit or nonprofit organizations, political or non-political. Um, Everybody is in this is almost like this sense of a rat race, all constant state. So what I want to talk about is grounding is a way of presence where you're embodied, tangible, and stable, and you feel that way completely in yourself. So in other words, you have awareness from your head to your toes, uh, and you're constantly in contact with yourself as an embodied presence. And to give this a little comparison to help you grasp what I'm saying. Grounding as a technique is frequently used in a variety of vocations, so therapies, uh, various healing arts, yoga practices, etc. They often talk about grounding, and generally when they're saying that, they're referring to it as a technique to feel more safe or stable. It may involve the body, breath work, or it could be just walking in nature, because oftentimes people feel more of who they are when they're walking with nature. So, in other words, another way of saying it is it's a foundation for mindfulness, for lack of a better phrase. Presence is an open awareness of this immediate moment. I'm fully attentive. I'm not registering only from my mind. I'm fully attentive to everything that's going on around me. It may be, um, it's a quality of attention is the best way I could describe it. But if I use grounding as presence, then it's the embodiment of presence through a somatic rootedness, which it basically means is I'm fully embodied. I have a felt sense of myself, my body, everything that's going on right now. A process that I use frequently in myself is I check in and can I feel my feet? Can I feel the energy in my feet? Do I feel connected to the earth energetically, not just are my feet on the ground, or when I'm walking, I'm not just thunk, 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 feeling the pressure of my body hitting the ground. I'm actually making connection. So involves being here as a living organism, and it's a state of being where the body and awareness are unified. And so when we think about that, think about a very chaotic moment that you had recently. Uh, and whenever that happens to you, one of the things I suggest people to do is if you're feeling chaotic and you're almost feeling like you're going into overwhelm, the first thing you have to do is stop. And it sounds contradictory or almost ludicrous to say that because it's like, well, yeah, I'd like it to stop, but how the hell do you do that? So the first thing it was when you stop is you scan your body, you go down and you actually feel the energy. And there's ways to do this. You can move your fingers, you can wiggle your toes. I often tell people is, can you feel the sensation of sitting in your chair? Most people have very little awareness of their buttocks, except when they get up off the chair and then it feels cold. That's why the automobile industry was smart enough to put heaters in and cooling units in our car seats to keep us comfortable. So as embodied presence, it's simply saying is you don't witness your body, you dwell in it. And it's like, do I have a felt sense of myself sitting here? And often what happens when you do that, you feel this almost settling down into the center, into the core of your body. Oftentimes we'll think of it in the pelvic region, but it might be just above that. But we have this felt sense of being inside ourselves, not outside ourselves, watching the rest of the world, trying to survive or feel safe. So it's another way of saying is you're in contact with the world through your senses, not just your mind. Because that's what happens frequently is we give up our felt sense of ourself in order to feel safe in the world. And the way we feel safe is we're constantly in scanning mode and contingency planning mode. So it's another way of saying is you have a rooted attention. So like a tree root deeply in the ground, you may sway, but you don't topple. You're responsive, but not reactive. So actually, in this case, because I'm paying attention to my felt sense, I create an increased presence. And as a result, I have the sense of stability, much calmer. Another way of grounding focuses is by being in the felt sense, you begin to realize, am I in a fight or flight stage all the time? There's actually two more. There's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Freeze is I just disconnect from whatever's going on in the moment. Fawning is I subordinate myself in order to not get killed, as often as frequently stated by people. But the fight or flight is your sympathetic nervous system is in danger mode. And so what ends up happening is we can't calm down even though there may not be a threat. So we're in a constant state of threat. So grounding, what it does as present, unites the inner field of sensation and emotion with the outer world of contact and perception. It removes the false boundary between me and something else. And it's simply saying is by being fully present in my body, I feel safe. And I work with this frequently. A lot of people are just getting used to the idea of a felt sense because instead of being overly reactive, what I'm interested in is people being able to just simply respond. And response is a full embodied um, answer to any environmental situation. So if you look at it, another way of saying this is a felt sense around the present would be the first thing you might do is you begin to breathe slowly. Most people, when they're in a fight or flight mode, will breathe very shallow, and as a result, are under-resourced in terms of air, oxygen. You plant your feet solid on the ground, connect to the earth. I often tell people go for a walk, even if it's just down the hall and back, but paying attention to walking, how it feels in your body, bending your knees. If you can, do slight meditation moments where you basically try to quiet the mind, not shut it down, but you're not racing also. In other words, you're attentive, you're alert to whatever's going on, but your mind's not taking over and keeping you in fight or flight mode. The body feels inhabited is when you know you're grounded as a presence. And you literally have this felt sense like, all right, this moment I'm completely aware I have a lot of energy running down into my feet. I can feel myself in the seat of my chair. I can feel the movement of my muscles when I'm moving my hands. I can feel tension slightly in my shoulders at this moment. It's having that kind of body awareness and giving yourself a chance to obviously do this. What ends up happening is you're here. You're not just a watcher, but you're here as a body, a breath, a being, as a human being. And that helps you calm yourself down far better than otherwise. So if you struggle with some of these things, there's other ways to do it. Some people are very good of closing their eyes and imagining. So you would imagine that you're a tree and you have roots deep in the soil, anchoring to the earth is one way that people are able to do this. When I do that, I actually feel a burning energy in my feet that go down into the ground, and you begin to realize there's actually an exchange constantly. If you develop felt sense of your energetic body, you will feel an exchange of energy when you focus your attention with the earth. You also, one of the things you can do is an embodiment is sit upright. If you're slumping over, leaning back all the time, all of those are reducing your capacity to take in oxygen, reducing your capacity to create flow. And the whole idea is to realize if I'm able to focus my attention on being present, generally speaking, you'll have the sensation of being in the safest place you possibly could be. Um, if you need another set of ways of looking at it, you can feel your weight. Let gravity do its work. Just simply notice how heavy you feel. Notice how your body is held. Let yourself land in this moment. Another way of thinking about this is, how do I shift to occupy my body? Oftentimes when we start going into felt sense, the impact of it is we begin to realize all the stress we're holding, everything's being held, or we're holding our breath. Uh, Breathe with intimacy is an act of presence. Basically, what it means is breathe deep. I often have people breathe rhythmically to a count of 5 in and out. The idea is to take a deep breath, but not to take gasps. So, learning to rhythmically breathe in, rhythmically breathe out. And the interesting thing is, very quickly, all the overwhelm goes away. Another thing is if you're struggling and your mind won't shut down, then you can imagine your awareness sinking from your head into your belly, your feet, the earth. It's called a scan. It's an energetic scan. An energetic scan allows you then to begin to focus your attention, which again takes away the fight or flight. And then finally soften into contact, which is be with what you feel, see, hear without rushing towards or pulling away. You don't have to make meaning, just notice. For example, if you're outside and you have a quiet moment, you were able to focus your attention towards really looking at everything that's around you, hearing the birds, the trees, the breeze in the trees, all of those things can help you. So, why this matters? In a present world where awareness is often fragmented, overextended, or disembodied, grounding as presence is a radical return to wholeness or to yourself. It's how the spiritual and the physical meet. It's how safety, intimacy, clarity emerge, not as ideas, but as felt realities. So to be grounded as presence is not just to observe the moment, but it's to become it. And when we allow ourselves to just become the moment, the impact of it is we begin to actually settle back into our body. The world's overwhelm diminishes, and we end up feeling a far better. And the interesting part is all these are mindfulness techniques. But more importantly, you find out you're more effective. Instead of chasing ideas, you focus, you get clarity. Clarity leads to productivity, and you're able to accomplish whatever you need to accomplish. And I don't care if this is in a conversation with another person or actually in doing work. So try some of these things. I think you'll find it's very helpful for those of you who don't do this. Any of these things, walking in nature, just getting out of the office or getting out of the house and walking outside. I frequently go out and sit on the front porch steps, something I did as a child. So I just go back and do that and just breathe until I can feel the stone steps underneath my bottom and until I can feel myself again. So you have the capacity to shift out of overwhelm and the present fight or flight modalities. You just have to decide to do it. Hope this is helpful to you. I'm Herb Stevenson. This is Natural Passages, Revealing the Unmarked Doors of Life. And I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.